She was already moving pieces around. I barely slept. Mostly sat in the dark staring at my phone while texts kept coming. My mom. My sister. My brother. Friends. Some asking if I was okay. Some confused. A few clearly already hearing Emily's version. Around 7 a.m. my brother called. And his first words were, "Why is Emily posting about you online?" My stomach dropped. Apparently she'd posted on social media around 6:30. Nothing direct. No names. But obvious enough. Stuff like, "It's terrifying how quickly someone you trust can become aggressive." Then, "Protecting my peace now. Some truths eventually expose themselves." And, "Thank you to everyone checking on me. I'm safe." Comments full of support. People assuming the worst. People calling me abusive. People praising her for getting out. I felt physically numb. Then my phone buzzed. Claire. She sent screenshots. Emily had blocked Ryan everywhere overnight. Then sent Claire one final message. "You won. Congrats." Like this was some competition. Claire also sent another screenshot. And this one hit different. A group chat. Emily. Ryan. And a third contact saved as J. That "don't ask questions" text suddenly made sense. There absolutely was another person. Maybe more. Ryan apparently found the chat through archived messages. And the conversation was chaos. Flirting. Plans. Inside jokes. Emily bouncing between both of them. Keeping attention on herself constantly. At one point Ryan wrote, "Are you serious with him too?" And Emily replied, "Relax. Nobody owns me." Then Jay answered, "You say that now, but you spent 3 nights here last month, lol." My chest tightened. 3 nights. Last month she told me she was visiting her aunt. I helped pack snacks for the drive. She kissed me goodbye. Said she loved me. Then apparently went to another guy. Ryan looked furious in the messages. He confronted her. Emily turned on him immediately. Accused him of being needy. Said she hated jealousy. Then somehow got him apologizing. Classic. I kept reading. And then I saw my own name. Jay asked, "Does your husband suspect anything?" Emily replied, "He's starting to. But if he pushes too hard, I'll flip it. Then, he cares way too much what people think. And nobody ever sees this side of me anyway." That one chilled me. Because she was right. Most people loved her. She was funny. Charming. Sharp. Great at first impressions. Nobody saw what happened behind closed doors. Nobody saw how easily she could lie. Or twist. Or hurt someone and then make them apologize. Around noon there was a knock at my door. I opened it. And froze. It was Emily. Like nothing happened. Perfect hair. Coffee in one hand. Sunglasses. Calm. She walked past me without waiting. Set her coffee down. Looked around the house. Then casually said, "I forgot some things." I stared at her. She acted irritated. Like I was inconveniencing her. Then she started grabbing things from drawers. Jewelry. A bag. Laptop charger. And finally she looked at me. "Can we not make this dramatic?" I actually laughed. "Because what else do you even say?" I asked who Jay was. Her face changed for half a second. Then immediately smooth again. And she said, "A friend." I asked if she slept with him too. She shrugged. Then, "Does it matter at this point?" I asked if any of our marriage meant anything. And she looked genuinely bored. Then said, "I loved you. Just not enough forever." That hurt. A lot. Then she picked up her keys. Started toward the door. And before leaving she casually added, "Oh. One more thing." I asked what? And she looked directly at me. Totally calm. then said, "You might want to check our joint account before the bank flags anything." August 15th, she drained our account and acted like it was completely normal. The second she left, I opened the banking app. And my stomach dropped. Savings, almost empty. Checking, barely anything left. Not fully wiped, but close enough to feel like getting hit by a truck. Thousands gone. Transferred out in chunks. Some yesterday afternoon. Some late at night. One transfer literally while I was standing in that hotel hallway. I couldn't breathe for a second. I called her immediately. Straight to voicemail. Texted. No reply. Called the bank. Sat on hold shaking. Finally got someone. They confirmed the transfers came from our joint account. Authorized through her device. Legally she had access. So technically she could do it. I asked if they could freeze anything. They locked further outgoing transfers after verifying my identity. But what was already moved was already moved. Gone. Then I got another text from Claire. Just one line. Ryan left for work. Emily may be there. I don't even know why I drove there. Part rage. Part desperation. Part still trying to understand who this person actually was. Emily's office was downtown. Big glass building. I parked across the street. Waited. Tried not to completely lose it. And then, she walked out. Laughing. With a guy I'd never seen. Tall. Dark jacket. Coffee in hand. Definitely not Ryan. Definitely not Jay, either based on Claire's screenshots. Emily looked completely relaxed. Like she hadn't detonated multiple lives in under 12 hours. The guy touched her lower back. She smiled. Then she saw me. Her face changed instantly. She said something to him. He looked over. Then kept walking toward me. Which honestly shocked me. He got maybe 6 feet away and said, "You need to leave her alone." I just stared. Asked who he was. Emily answered before he could. Marcus. Legal. Legal. My brain immediately caught on. Not a boyfriend. An actual lawyer. She folded her arms and said, "I figured you'd panic, so I prepared." Prepared. Again. Marcus calmly told me Emily wanted space and no harassment. That any direct confrontation should happen through attorneys. I asked if draining our account was part of that. Emily rolled her eyes. I moved my money. I asked if she seriously believed that. And she snapped. Stop acting like you're the victim. That made me see red. I asked how many people there were. Ryan. Jay. Who else? Emily smirked. Actually smirked. Then said, "You really don't want the answer." Marcus gave her a look. Like maybe even he wasn't thrilled. Then Emily dropped another bomb. Casually. Like discussing whether. I signed a lease this morning. I stared. She'd already found a place. Already moved money. Already contacted legal. All overnight. Which meant this wasn't reaction. This was preparation. For how long? Weeks? Months? I asked if she'd been planning this. And she said, "I've been planning my exit since I realized you'd never leave first." That hurt in a very specific way. Because she knew me. She knew I kept trying. Even when things got bad. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text. Photo attachment. It was from Jay. Apparently Claire gave him my number too. Picture of Emily asleep in some apartment. Timestamp from 6 weeks ago. Then another. Emily and him at a restaurant. Then a message. I didn't know she was married until yesterday. Then. There's more. Call me. Emily saw my face. Saw the phone. And instantly panicked for the first time. Real panic. Who sent that? I didn't answer. She stepped closer. What did he send you? Marcus looked confused. I said quietly. So he didn't know. Emily's expression hardened. Then she reached for my phone. I pulled it back. And she exploded. Started yelling. People outside the building turning to stare. She shouted that I was stalking her. That I was obsessed. That I needed help. Marcus stepped between us. Then Ryan walked out of the building. Saw Emily. Saw me. Saw Marcus. And froze. Then Ryan looked directly at Marcus. And said one sentence that made everyone go silent. Wait, she told you she was single too? Part September 15th. Apparently none of us knew the full story. You could feel the air change the second Ryan said that. Marcus turned and looked at Emily. Then back at Ryan. Then at me. And for the first time since I got there, Marcus didn't look calm anymore. He looked confused. Emily immediately jumped in. Ryan, don't. Ryan ignored her. Pointed at Marcus. Then said, She told you she was single? Marcus frowned. Then slowly nodded. Emily laughed. Way too loudly. Like she could somehow smooth it over. Can everyone stop acting insane for 5 seconds? Ryan stepped closer. You told me your divorce was basically done. Then looked at Marcus. She told you she lived alone? Marcus' jaw tightened. Emily snapped. That is not the same thing. I stood there feeling like reality itself was broken. Then Marcus asked the obvious. You're married? I held up my left hand. Wedding ring. Emily looked furious. At me. Like I'd embarrassed her. Marcus stared at her. Then asked, How long? I answered before she could. 9 years together. 6 married. He physically stepped back. Like he needed distance. Emily started talking fast. Said we were emotionally separated. Said things were complicated. Said labels didn't matter. Ryan actually laughed. Bitter. Then said, You told me he was controlling. Marcus looked at me. Probably expecting something. And all I could say was, I found out last night. Then Emily turned on Ryan. Hard. This is your fault. Ryan looked stunned. My fault? Yes. You couldn't keep your mouth shut. Claire pulled up at exactly the worst possible moment. She got out. Saw Marcus. Saw Ryan. Saw Emily. And immediately understood enough. Then Jay texted again. Another screenshot. Emily on his couch. Wine glass. Smiling. Timestamp from 2 weeks ago. Then, she told me she was staying with her cousin while finalizing paperwork. Claire looked over my shoulder. Then just whispered, Oh my God! Marcus asked who Jay was. Nobody answered. Emily grabbed her bag. Clearly trying to leave. Ryan blocked her path. Then Marcus asked, How many people? Emily glared. Move. Marcus repeated it. How many? And for the first time she didn't have a fast answer. Then she said, This is humiliating. Claire lost it. Humiliating? For you? Emily rolled her eyes. That was the wrong move. Claire stepped toward her. Ryan stepped in. Marcus too. Complete chaos. People from the office gathering outside. Watching. Whispering. Emily absolutely hated attention unless she controlled it. I could see it. Then HR came outside. A woman from the building asking if everything was okay. Emily instantly switched tone. Soft voice. Tears. Said she was being harassed by an ex. HR looked at me. Then Ryan immediately said, She's lying. Marcus said. She lied to me too. Claire added, She's been sleeping with my husband. And suddenly Emily's perfect version shattered publicly. HR looked horrified. Emily looked like she wanted to disappear. Then her phone rang. She saw the screen. And went pale. Really pale. She stepped away and answered. We could still hear enough. What? Pause. No, don't touch anything. Pause. What do you mean, landlord? Then she hung up. Marcus asked what happened. Emily didn't answer. Just grabbed her keys. Started walking fast. Ryan asked where she was going. She snapped. Home. Then looked at me. Then corrected herself. No. My apartment. And drove off. Marcus left without another word. Claire took Ryan with her. I sat in my car feeling numb. Then Jay called. I answered. He sounded exhausted. And angry. He apologized immediately. Said he ended things the second he found out she was married. Then he told me something I still haven't wrapped my head around. Emily had been using his apartment sometimes. Apparently she had a spare key. And this morning, her new landlord called him. Because Emily signed the lease using his emergency contact info without telling him. And the landlord had just entered the apartment. Because there was water leaking everywhere. From a broken bathroom pipe. And half of Emily's boxes were already inside. Including a locked metal cash box labeled with my name. Part October 15th. The box with my name on it changed everything again. When Jay told me there was a metal lockbox with my name on it, I honestly thought he had to be mistaken. I asked him to repeat himself. He did. Same answer. Gray metal cash box. Black marker. My name written across the top. Inside Emily's half-flooded new apartment. My brain was already overloaded, and somehow that still made my stomach twist. Why would she label a box with my name? Why bring it there? Why not leave it at the house? Nothing made sense. Jay, his real name was Jason, gave me the address. Said he was heading over. Said the landlord was trying to stop water damage and Emily wasn't answering. I drove there feeling like I was operating on pure adrenaline. Emily had rented a small third-floor apartment across town. Definitely rushed. Boxes stacked everywhere. Bathroom floor soaked. Water dripping into the hallway. Landlord looked irritated and overwhelmed. Jason was standing by the kitchen. He looked about my age. Tired. Embarrassed. The kind of guy who clearly wished he'd never met Emily. He apologized immediately. Again. Said he genuinely thought she was single. Thought she was getting out of something toxic. Which sounded painfully familiar. Then he pointed to the bedroom. And there it was. Gray lockbox. My name. Exactly like he said. The landlord asked if anyone needed police. Nobody answered. Jason handed me a towel because apparently my hands were shaking so badly he noticed. The box was locked. No key nearby. I asked Jason if Emily ever mentioned it. He said no. Then added, she did tell me she had paperwork she couldn't let anyone see. Of course she did. I looked around. Boxes half unpacked. Clothes everywhere. A framed picture face down on the dresser. I flipped it. It was one from our anniversary trip 2 years ago. But I was cut out. Literally cut out with scissors. I wish I were kidding. Jason saw it too. And just quietly muttered, what the hell? Then Emily burst through the apartment door. Breathing hard. Hair messy. Absolutely furious. The second she saw all of us, her face changed. Landlord started talking about the leak. She ignored him. Looked straight at me. Then at the box. And yelled, don't touch that. I asked why my name was on it. She said, because it's private. Which made 0 sense. I asked for the key. She refused. Jason asked why his name was listed as emergency contact. Emily snapped at him. Told him to stay out of her life. Landlord threatened to call police over the flooding. Emily finally dug in her bag. Pulled out a key. Held it tight. Then looked at me. And said, if you open this, there's no going back. That sentence made the whole room go dead quiet. I answered, I don't think there was any going back after the hotel. She stared at me for a second. Then threw the key across the room. It hit the wall. Landed near my foot. I opened the box. And instantly felt like I'd been punched. Cash. Stacks of it. Bank envelopes. Jewelry. Copies of documents. And a folder. My name typed on the tab. Inside. Bank statements from our joint account. Credit cards I didn't know existed. A spreadsheet tracking expenses. Her expenses. Ryan. Jason. Hotel bookings. Rent. Flights. Everything color-coded. Like a business plan. And one separate section titled Exit Timeline. I could barely breathe. Dates. Month by month. Move money. Secure apartment. Keep husband calm. Delay confrontation. Control narrative. Prepare legal contact. And then, final reveal, after transfer clears. Jason looked sick. The landlord quietly walked out. Emily stood there expressionless. Like she was exhausted. Not guilty. Just tired of the mess. Then I found one more thing in the folder. An envelope. Medical paperwork. Her name. Recent date. I looked up. Emily immediately panicked. Actually panicked. Don't. Too late. I opened it. And read the first page. Then looked up at her. Completely stunned. Because according to the paperwork, Emily was 12 weeks pregnant. Part November 15th. The pregnancy test changed the entire meaning of everything. I remember staring at that medical paper for way too long. Like my brain refused to translate it. Pregnant. 12 weeks. Emily was standing across the room watching me read it like she already knew what was coming. Jason didn't move. Even the landlord, who had just come back in because of the leaked noise, froze in the doorway. I finally looked up. And the first thing I said was, "Whose is it?" The room went silent. Emily's expression tightened immediately. Not emotional. Not shocked. Annoyed. Like I'd asked something inappropriate. She said, "Don't do that." I asked again. She repeated herself louder. "Don't do that." Jason slowly looked between us. Then said quietly, "Is it mine?" Emily snapped. "No." One word. Fast. Clean. Too fast. That alone told me everything I needed to know. Because she didn't hesitate to deny me. But she also didn't confirm anyone else. I asked her straight, "Is it Ryan's?" She didn't answer. That silence hit harder than any lie so far. Jason looked like he was going to be sick. The landlord just muttered something about, "This is above my pay grade," and stepped back out again. I looked at Emily again. And something in me just broke differently this time. Not anger. Not shock. Just exhaustion. I said, "You were pregnant while all of this was happening?" She finally spoke. Calm again. Controlled. "I was going to handle it." That sentence. Handle it. Like it was logistics. Like it wasn't a life. I asked. "Handle it how?" She hesitated. Just for a second. Then said, "It doesn't matter now." Jason stepped forward. "Emily, what the hell does that mean?" She turned on him instantly. "Stay out of it." Then back to me. "You were never supposed to see that." I looked down at the folder again. Exit timeline. Her planning wasn't just cheating. It was execution. Step-by-step removal from our life. Money. Housing. Reputation. Relationships. And apparently, pregnancy was just another variable. I asked her, "How long did you know?" She said, "A few weeks." Jason shook his head. "You didn't tell me." Emily replied instantly. "I didn't know you well enough." That hit him hard. I could see it. Then I asked, "Who is the father?" And this time she actually laughed. Small. Cold. Then said, "Does it really matter?" That was the moment something in me went quiet. Because I realized she wasn't avoiding the answer. She genuinely didn't think the answer mattered. I closed the folder. Slowly. Put it back in the box. And said, You built an entire second life, she replied. I survived. That word. Survived. Like I was the problem she needed to escape from. Jason finally spoke again. You used me too. Emily didn't even look at him. You let it happen. That was it for him. He just stopped talking. The landlord came back in and said the water damage was getting worse. Nobody cared anymore. Everything physical in that apartment suddenly felt irrelevant compared to what was sitting in that box. I picked it up. Emily immediately stepped forward. No. I looked at her. And for the first time since all of this started, she didn't look in control. I said, I'm taking this. She shook her head. You don't get to take it. I said. You lost that right when you started lying to everyone I love. Jason quietly said. I think you should let him take it. Emily turned and looked at him like he'd betrayed her. Then she did something I didn't expect. She smiled. And said, You think this is over? I paused. She stepped closer. Voice low. Almost calm again. This is just the part where you all decide which version of me you want to believe. Then she looked at me. Directly. And said, And I promise you, I always win the version people remember. And that was the first time I actually felt scared of her. Part 12:15. She didn't just lie, she started rewriting reality in real time. I wish I could say I stayed calm after that. I didn't. Because something about the way she said it, the version people remember, didn't feel like drama. It felt like strategy. Jason was staring at her like he was finally seeing a stranger. I picked up the box anyway. Emily didn't stop me this time. She just watched. No yelling. No panic. Just that controlled, almost bored expression again. Like she was already moving on to the next phase in her head. The landlord was still complaining about water damage, but it sounded like background noise at that point. I walked out with the box. Jason followed me into the hallway. He looked shaken. I didn't know she was like this. I didn't answer right away. Because I didn't either. Not fully. Not even after everything. Downstairs, I sat in my car with the box on the passenger seat. Jason stood outside for a second. Then said, If she contacts me again, I'm blocking her completely. I just nodded. He left. And I opened the box again. Not because I wanted to. Because I couldn't stop myself. There was more than I saw before. Hidden layers. Under the folder. Under the cash. Another envelope. This one thinner. No label. Inside were printed emails. Between Emily and someone I didn't recognize. But the tone was different. Less romantic. More procedural. Legal sounding. One line stood out immediately. If he becomes difficult, we proceed with false report protocol. My stomach dropped. I kept reading. It was like reading instructions for a playbook. How to respond if I confronted her. How to trigger doubt in friends and family. How to neutralize escalation. And then a checklist titled, If exposed early. Asterisk deny physical contact claim. Asterisk initiate emotional instability narrative. Asterisk contact support network immediately. Asterisk secure financial separation. Asterisk relocate within 48 hours. I sat there staring at it. Because it wasn't just cheating. It wasn't even just manipulation. It was rehearsed damage control. Pre-written responses for my reaction. She had planned for me to find out. Just not this early. My phone buzzed. Unknown number again. This time a voice note. From Claire. I played it. She sounded exhausted. And said, Ryan just got a message from Emily. She's telling him you're unstable and that she might need a restraining order. I closed my eyes. Of course she was. Even now. Even after everything exposed. She was still trying to steer the story. Then Claire added. But that's not all. She's posting again. I opened social media. And there it was. A new post. Longer this time. Carefully written. No names. But unmistakable. Talking about fear. About feeling trapped. About someone becoming unpredictable after confrontation. Comments already filled with sympathy. People saying she should stay safe. And then I saw something that made my chest tighten. She had tagged a lawyer's page. Not Marcus. A different one. A family law firm. And the caption. Taking the next step to protect myself and my future child. My stomach dropped. Because she wasn't just defending herself anymore. She was building a case. Publicly. Strategically. And then my phone rang. Private number. I almost didn't answer. But I did. And Emily's voice came through. Calm. Almost soft. She said, "You should stop while you're ahead." I said nothing. She continued, "I'm trying to handle this without destroying you." I actually laughed. And said, "You already did." Silence. Then she said something quieter. Different tone. "This doesn't have to end badly." I asked. "End for who?" Another pause. Then, "For all of us." And then she added, "Especially the baby." And hung up. Part 13-15. The baby became her shield, her weapon, and her final line of defense. I just sat there after the call ended. Phone still in my hand. Listening to nothing. That last sentence kept repeating in my head. Especially the baby. It wasn't said like a confession. It was said like leverage. Like a card she just placed on the table. Claire called back immediately after. I picked up. She didn't even say hello. "She's escalating." I told her I knew. Then Claire said something that made my stomach tighten again. "Ryan just showed me another message. She told him you threatened her." I closed my eyes. Of course she did. It was the same pattern again. Same structure. Different audience. Claire continued. "And she's telling people the baby is at risk because of you." That hit differently. Because now it wasn't just my reputation. It wasn't just the marriage. It was a pregnancy being folded into the story she was building. A story where I was the threat. I looked down at the lockbox again.